Welcome to Session 6 of the Happiness Workshop. My name is Wendy, and I am a therapist at UWEC's Counseling Services Center. Today I'm going to talk about self-compassion and how it plays into our happiness. Let's start out with a definition of compassion. Compassion is the awareness of suffering and the intense want and commitment to relieving that suffering. For example, offering understanding and kindness to others when they make a mistake or fail at something, instead of putting them down, being mean to them, or being judgmental. So when we take it a step further to explore self-compassion, we discover that it encompasses being kind and understanding with yourself, which means not being critical or having self-judgment. Being able to experience painful thoughts and feelings in a non-judgmental way, instead of over-identifying with them, such as having self-pity, which can make us feel disconnected from others. We don't want to suppress or exaggerate our negative emotions or feelings, but instead see our experience as a part of the larger human experience, not as something that is your problem alone or something that separates you from others. Self-compassion is unconditional and does not require us to feel superior to others to feel good about ourselves. Let's watch the following video entitled The Power of Self-Compassion.
Hi, Kaz. Hi, Shelley. As you know, we are producing a course called The Power of Self-Compassion. So we're just talking to people today about how they treat themselves. Do you have a critical voice? And if so, what do you find it saying to you?
I definitely have a critical voice. I think everybody does. And I think they all start from when you're a kid. So, I think all the things that my parents said, I hear, but it's normally about not doing a good job.
It's constantly stopping me as I try to complete thoughts or try to make steps forward.
It's a voice that always tells me that I'm not enough, or that I need to do better, or that there's something about me that I have to change.
When you fail or make a mistake, what types of things run through your mind?
I'm not worthy. Everybody's going to see my mistake. Nobody else makes mistakes like I do.
You're stupid. I can't believe you forgot something easy. This was basic. Why are you having so much trouble doing something so simple?
People don't want me around, that I'm uninteresting, boring, and or just too weird for people's company.
It says that I should have done better, and sometimes it says mean words about myself.
It's probably the loudest thing that's usually coming through my head before anything else, is at least ringing that failure over and over again.
And let me give you a scenario where a friend of yours comes to you, has made a mistake, and what would you say to that friend?
Well, the first thing I would tell them that it's okay. You don't need to feel all the weight of this.
Most likely you're holding on to this more tightly than anybody else.
This in no way, reflects your character or reflects your ability to do something. Definitely a lot kinder to my friends than I am to myself.
How do you think you would change if you used that same voice that you use towards your friends on yourself during those moments of failure and mistakes?
I think it would be, incredible, because you're not going to talk to your friends the way that you talk to yourself sometimes. And I think that if you're constantly kind of reassuring yourself and letting yourself know that you are enough, then your thought process will change.
When you treat yourself like you do somebody else, you start feeling better, I think, right away, and you keep it in context much more instead of letting things be blown out of proportion.
I think I would have a lot less anxiety in my day-to-day. I think there would be kind of a weight lifted.
It would definitely make me feel better and happier, because when I usually say, when that voice that says mean stuff in my head, I'm not really happy and sad.
How could the world look differently if we were more compassionate towards ourselves?
I think the world would work better. I think through compassion and self-compassion, we all would just recognize that we're all human.
As a society, we could learn to love one another and show that love on a regular basis. I think that this world would be perfect.
There's a saying that if you love yourself, then you can love others. Well, sometimes I believe it goes in the reverse, and that if you can show that compassion that you show to others and bring it into yourself, I think that's where true growth can happen.
I think it would be magical. I mean, that's really the only word for it, magical, to be able to reflect on ourselves from a place of love rather than criticism.
The people speaking in the video offered up a lot of their negative internal dialogues and how those dialogues affected them. Take a moment to think about some of the thoughts that you have and how that internal dialogue affects you. Working to increase our self-compassion helps to change our internal dialogue to one more like a supportive friend. This is something that we have to work hard on, as some of our negative thought patterns have been with us for a long time. So, if I'm trying to convince you to invest time and effort into this, I should probably provide you with some good reasons to do so. Here are some of the benefits of having self-compassion. Decreased levels of anxiety and depression, more effective coping skills, enhanced motivation, decreased fear of failure, and an increased likelihood of re-engaging in new goals after a failure. Neuroimaging research shows that engaging in compassion-focused imagery exercises produces changes in our frontal cortex, the immune system, and improves overall well-being. So what is compassion-focused imagery? Let's start by breaking the concept down. From what we have learned in the video so far, we know what compassion is, so let's spend a moment on imagery. To explore what imagery is, please join me in this exercise. Close your eyes and imagine that you have your favorite food in front of you. Imagine moving a bite of it closer to your face. Smell it. What do you notice? How do you feel? Do you notice any physical sensations? How does your mouth feel? You can open your eyes now. This is an example of imagery. By simply imagining something we enjoy, we can trigger positive thoughts and feelings, even though the item isn't really there. So now let's take it a step further to compassion-focused imagery. To build self-compassion, we need to first stimulate compassionate feelings, and then direct those feelings towards ourselves when we are struggling. If we know that images are an effective way to activate feelings, then we can use this knowledge to our advantage. So, our first challenge is to find an image that elicits compassionate feelings within us that we can use as a tool to help direct compassionate feelings towards ourselves. Let's try another exercise that is created to help us identify one positive image. See if you can bring to mind a person or a pet that you care very deeply about, that you feel great warmth towards. Someone that you always want to be there for unconditionally, to be by their side supporting them through the trials of life. Once you're able to identify someone, close your eyes and go through a few rounds of slowly breathing while you count to 10 to get yourself prepared for the imagery exercise. Now, imagine that this special person or pet is in front of you and that they need your help. Don't get caught up in the details of what is happening for them. Instead, just focus on giving them the unwavering compassion that they need. Allow yourself to feel a deep sense of caring and concern for them. Allow your desire for them to be happy and free from struggle to come to the forefront. Now notice what emotions you are feeling. Notice what physical sensations accompany those feelings. What is your facial expression like towards them? What is your body posture like towards them? What are you saying to them? What's the tone of your voice when you're saying those things? What are you doing to comfort and help them? Spend a few minutes just appreciating this image of giving compassion to another. Pay particular attention to compassionate feelings that this image generates. See if you can allow these feelings to take over, to grow inside of you, feeling your whole body filled with compassion. Now open your eyes. Once you have completed this exercise, reflect upon it. If you found it to be useful in triggering feelings of compassion within you, then practice bringing this image to mind regularly so that the image becomes easily accessible and can be used as your compassion on switch. You may want to carry a photo of this person or pet with you in your phone or a printed one in your wallet as a visual reminder. You can also consider placing a photo of them somewhere in your daily life where you notice you tend to be most self-critical. For example, in your backpack if you notice that you tend to be critical when you're trying to study. On the other hand, if you found that the compassionate feelings weren't very strong, or that it was difficult to come up with an image that works for you, it may mean that you need more practice to strengthen this image. If feelings unrelated to compassion popped up, like sadness, guilt, longing, regret, anger, loss, or loneliness, then you may need to pick a different person or pet to direct your compassion to. Or maybe this isn't the most helpful method for you to generate compassionate feelings. Our aim with this activity is to develop an image that triggers a compassionate attitude or mindset within us, prompting us to feel, think, and act in compassionate ways. Research shows that imagery can be very powerful in triggering emotions. Our brain is not very good at distinguishing an image from reality, so it will often process and respond to an image as if it is something occurring for real. So in summary, self-compassion is about enhancing our well-being over the long term. The truth of the matter is, we all have shortcomings and can get caught in the habit of mercilessly criticizing and judging ourselves. We will all encounter frustrations, loss, and things won't always go our way. We will make mistakes, find our limitations, and at times fall short of our ideals. The more you can embrace these as facts of your reality as a human instead of constantly fighting against them, the sooner you will be able to treat yourself and others with compassion. We are not, nor will we ever be, perfect. If we live our life striving for perfection, we will be disappointed. Instead, the challenge is to accept our uniqueness, focus on our efforts and successes instead of our failures, to honor our imperfect humanness. Being intentional about and working to grow our self-compassion can help us to be our own best support. With effort, we can shift our thinking from critical to loving and nurturing. Thank you for joining me for today's session of the Happiness Workshop. Take care.